chose a hell of a time to get into the industry. Historically, right after COVID, it was like quite the interesting time to get into the industry. About 90% of businesses were failing. What was that like? What was that emotion? What was going through your head?
Came into the locker room after a horrible half, has his hand behind his back. He goes to the star player and he has toilet paper and there's actual shit on it.
What kind of habits do you portray and what do you express?
The best thing you could do is thank you guys. You guys are. I really appreciate that. You guys are way ahead of where a lot of people are your age, and I'm thankful that you guys invited me to just talk to you a little bit and share conversations we have all the time together. All the time. So
no doubt. I mean, it's been a wild ride, man. So ever since, I've known you for almost 3.5 years now, going at this point, and ever since April, I can definitely say my life has changed. Ever since having that initial commitment. So we appreciate you for coming in. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're happy to have you here, and of course to be around, pretty much in the same room. A lot of the time, so
yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. So where do you guys want to start? Do you guys want to do an icebreaker so people have a context, or what do you want?
Yeah, let's go all the way back. Let's go. When we started our journey with Modest Mortgage, Authentic Partners, and the birth of West Coast Property Bros.
I was thinking to give a little bit of context. We go back to little Cubito.
Way back.
Oh, okay.
Way back.
Okay.
Please don't say the number of years back.
We'll leave that out.
It's almost been a year since I moved down here, met this guy, and then eventually led to meeting you. So maybe we go all the way back.
I remember meeting you, Isaac, and thinking, man, this guy is working a 50-year-old's job with the focus and the maturity of most people that have been working forever, and yet there's not a wrinkle on your face. So I was I don't know how young this kid is, but you were on the grind then. And when I met you, Tristan, just maybe 9 months ago or almost a year now, I remember thinking, man, this guy likes to smile a lot. I like that.
Hey, I appreciate it.
I can't say nothing about the wrinkles anymore. 6 months in the industry, it'll change you.
One for every loan. So yeah. When I met you guys, I was my responsibility on the team that we all met on was to obviously be kind of an in-house lender, and yet with the way that the dynamic was at the time, without you don't want to we don't want to get into the details of what why we all had to move on in life, but I think at the time you guys were very smart to soak everything in. And most people, when they're soaking, when they're absorbing, you guys are unique in that I can tell that you're trying to really grasp it because you're dead tired every day. And the frontal, I always joke, the frontal cortex doesn't, fully form for men until we're 25. Or for most people, I don't know.
Sometimes it doesn't form at all for most people. But.
Yeah, this is not the this is not the ladies neuroscience podcast. We got to get better into women's science. But
I got one more year.
Yeah, we gotta be appreciative that you guys. When I say we, the existing team members that invited you guys, and you guys decided on your own fruition. We had a couple awesome dinners. It's probably been 4 months.
Almost 6. Yeah.
Almost 6. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's we had a couple dinners with one of my partners from Michigan, Rogelio, and that was luck, because the week I remember thinking man, these guys, I'm not really a closer in the sense that I chose lending because I like to play fact, stick to the facts.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose, homes and loans, right? But emphasis on the loans because I like to participate in difficult games. I played in water polo, I did that. And yet you can win because you're working harder than the next guy. But a lot of times when you invite someone to the team, they see the income that they can make, or you guys see the lifestyle that maybe we've earned. You can say because it's an income that you're earning every day, like we've explained to you, and you're putting the consumer first. And so what's amazing is that all day we focus on the consumer and we focus on the client and making sure that our people are happy since 1993. And I've been on the team since 2007, the crash, and that was a whole other conversation. But consumers are happy. Like, and every day, if that happens, then the money follows. It's the reality.
Yeah.
It's amazing like that.
No, totally. I remember my first impression of Cubie. We met in person for the first team meeting after moving down, and I was like, oh, I wonder who this guy is. Like, you're just trying to like feel out everyone in the room in a way. And then that was when we all did our introductions of all the newbies that were going through, the boot camp and whatnot. And so we were doing introductions, and I remember I was doing mine, and I see Cubie in the back just recording the whole thing. I'm like, who the heck is this guy recording me right now? yeah, right?
Yeah, I gotta look that up. We gotta look up that date. I think that's a lost tape. I'm gonna have to find your lost tapes. I'm gonna have to find that one.
Yeah. Like you sent it to me, but I don't know if I have access to that anymore.
I'm writing that down.
I like what you said a little bit earlier here in your intro story, Cubie. That you come from a sports background and you chose a hell of a time to get into the industry, right? And I think it's kind of funny because that's where I really relate to you the most, having an athletic background. And then historically, right after COVID, it was like quite the interesting time to get into the industry. About 90% of businesses were failing, at least from what I understood after COVID. And, to be able to make that leap, and then I'm sure as you did back in 2007, like, what was that like? What was that emotion? What was what was going through your head, if you can take yourself back to 2007, right, when you just started? And what really went through your head when you started the industry?
Man, probably, I kind of go to like key conversations. My wife at my wife, well, at the time she was killing it. Wendy was crushing, and she was stable. And so it allowed me to kind of be more like focused on, okay, I'm going to see if I can really kind of reach for like a tougher career. But what I quickly realized was that there just wasn't any jobs. So I think what we kind of don't realize is that while recessions all look different, they all follow the same formula. Mm-hmm. Of going into a recession when everything's good. You think that the rules of the game are XYZ. You think that these are the available loans, these are the values, this is what people do for a living. When the economy changes and like pivots, and it causes recessions. Albert Einstein, who people don't really think of him as an economist, but he actually wrote a lot about the economy, and he would actually say that innovation is born out of the recessions.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like Apple, when I was in 07, 08, Apple was like, no one had an iPhone. Like only like the early adopters did.
Yeah.
It was like college.
That was what the first iPhone came out?
Around there.
Yeah. Everyone's doing flip phones, like BlackBerry slide phones.
Yeah, that's what I had. I had a BlackBerry touchscreen, and it's I guess in the end it was fully encrypted. The government still uses those, and so maybe it was, I don't know, maybe I wasn't all bad, but but when the iPhone came out, like they took over. That was when they grew all their market share, and it was the innovation. There was one supercomputer in 1970 in the whole world, in the 1970s, one in the whole world, and then all of a sudden 07 hits and Apple's taking over, and all of a sudden they put supercomputers in every single person's pocket.
Right.
So like when we talk about your guys' challenge now, and when I say our challenge, because we all have to do it together, is you have to embrace that AI is as common as an iPhone now. Is going to be as common as an iPhone, if not already. Like everyone's fully aware. if you try to invite someone to an AI class right now, they're not going to go, because it's like inviting someone to like an iPhone class. You're like, bro,
right.
Like I'm not going to an iPhone class.
Yeah.
That's stupid. Like,
and every time, especially when we went to San Diego, like I would ask people, do you use ChatGPT? And they're like, yeah. Like it is. I think it really is like ingrained in people's everyday life.
Same pitch. Remember, we were pitching all these people on our nonprofit To Nuevo Home. But that's the Rogelio project. That's where he gets mentioned a lot because of this, because it's part of what we're doing. Is that we're trying to create jobs using AI. Now, what I've noticed is that when you are ahead, you can feel like you're failing. And this is going back to 2007, is that it was just taking it. I'm going to tell you my advice to you is that it's a lot to unpack, because it's like every day of your life was like its own fun puzzle. Every day of my life in those years was like its own special day. My favorite one was my cell phone battery dying while my gas tank ran out of gas
Oh, no way.
on what we call in SoCal the 91 going west,
Yeah.
right before the toll roads, where there's like no exits, right after Green River.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
And I remember going down that, and I was already so locked in to like, I'm not going to fail, because I had another appointment that day. I would just book appointments, and they were mostly not great. I was making money. I was closing. I mean, I'm going to say that. I mean, I was doing home applications as a kid, thanks to my dad. You know, I'm a product of a family member who did this for a living. But when that happened at the same time, I actually decided I'm going to figure out what these call boxes are all about. That was when I learned about the call box.
Yeah.
You guys ever use one?
Yeah, I've never used it, but I always see them. Like, it's always like, oh, call box. And they're every,
What is
like,
that?
I think they're like
I don't know what that is.
mile or something.
Side of the, so if you
Oh,
ever,
the call box. Oh, like the highway call boxes. Oh, those.
because I was like, you know, it's funny because you kind of think of it and you're like, you're a federal lender. Like, at the end of the day, I'm federally licensed. Well, at the time, we didn't actually need that license, by the way. So when I started, there was no NMLS. That was actually something that rolled out, like, I think it's 2010 or 2011 or even after. But right around that time, I'm like, I'm a federal lender. I'm going to use my federal resources, you know, like, or this is actually Caltrans, right?
Nice.
I think.
My tax dollars.
So I was like, I'm going to see what this is all about. And of course, I could kind of see one because they're like blue. There's like a blue box. I could kind of see one, but it was like further, and my car hit. I had a used 3 Series BMW. It was like my flex car because I was like, you know, I went and I negotiated for it. I was like, I want to have the look. I had a very specific thing that I was trying to do. And so but it had just died. So
Man.
I'm like, all right, here we go. So I start pushing it because I'm going downhill. And I decide, you know what? Like,
No.
I'm going to like just keep this going until I get close enough to just call this thing. Because if I get my car too far, it's going to be hard for a tow truck guy. So it's like the level of detail in your life when you are locked in, you're going to see wins everywhere. So if you're having breakdowns like at the gym, and you're having breakdowns like, you know, you had an amazing post about Strava that we were talking about.
Yeah. A lot of hate comments on that.
I love that. I love that you did that, because when people aren't using the technology and for themselves, it's so clear. Like, technology is no different than when people are doing ancestral medicine, as someone called it the other day, which is another word for all natural drugs.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The intention that you go into it having is really what dictates most of where the issues are coming from.
Yeah.
Because if you're going into things and you're like, hey, I'm going to be a lender, I'm going to make so much money, it's not even funny, you're going to crash out. I've already seen it. I've already seen everyone. Everyone's out. Everyone that I started with in 07 was out by 09. Then new people came in 09, 010, 2010 because refinance rates started coming down. You know, that's when my little brother started. Christian that's my brother, already outlasted them.
Wow.
So those people quit by 2015 when there's a famous day called Ben Bernanke's double barrel shotguns, because he came in and basically made one comment and it blew up interest rates like horrifically in one day.
Interesting.
And everyone's pipeline was decimated for 3 months.
Wow.
And it was so bad. Like, imagine having all your loans and then the next day there's a Fed meeting and a guy just like, you know, Ben is a PhD and he studied the Great Depression and he got us out of the recession. But he wanted to stop the spending because we had very low interest rates. He was trying to slow it down. So he didn't even raise rates. He just made a comment. But it was a little like aggressive.
Yeah.
Here, let me ask you this. It's, you know, coming into a time where you had to challenge yourself because things were slowing down or circumstances changed during the industry. How were you able to move past the challenge despite all these people coming out of the industry thinking that they're going to make money? A lot of people I've been around say you got to have a purpose and a goal in mind, but you never do it for the money. I kind of want to get your perspective of why are you in the industry that you're in? What's your purpose and plan?
You know, right now I think I'm realizing more and more that one of the happiest times in my life professionally was when I was actually a JV coach right out of college. So for water polo, yes, at this private school called J. Sarah, and it was a coach that I had never played for, but he was the varsity coach while I was at Santa Margarita. And his name was Peter Asic. And, you know, European, he's a bad dude, man. I mean, like in the water, like he can play still, and he was old at that. He was already old, and he could still play. He could cook everybody. And so he gave me a job, and that season was really transformative for me because I kind of had the high school version of the Varsity Blues movies, like, you know, like movies where you have like one of everything. And it sounds almost like cliche when you watch them because you're like, oh, I have like, you know, the heavy kid. I have the kid who's like really skinny and he's like uncomfortable in his skin, in his own skin, you know, even though the kid looks great, he doesn't realize how healthy he looks, you know. And then I had a gay kid, and we still communicate. Yeah, all these guys. I got hit up. I was at the fair, and one of the guys I'm at the fair for the Scottish Fest with some parents. He yells at me, "Hey, coach!" I'm like literally I coached one season in my life. Like no, and like this big guy. Looks like a grown man. I realized, well, I was only 22 when I was coaching high school kids. So like now, if it's been like 20 years, well, like this guy's a man too. Like he's only 6 years younger than me, if that.
Wow.
So he was with his wife, and he's like, this was my high school coach. Like he was the best coach we ever had, and like he went on to play varsity. So I was like,
wow,
like that's amazing. So I remember all those guys a lot, but I got some great advice, and this is why I give you guys this advice all the time. Actually, is that I tell people, you can't help others until you can help yourself. Because I did not have a pot to piss in. I don't count my partner's money as my money. Like if my partner, meaning my wife or my girlfriend at the time, is making money, that's her thing. Now, yeah, is it still 50-50? Yeah. But that's not how I see it.
Right.
I'm just I have to work. And I've gotten lucky a lot of times in my life. I mean, I've gotten lucky too many times to count, but I never gave up. And I'm not as successful as anyone else, but I'm thankful that I've never cheated anyone out of their house or cheated anyone out of their home loan or into a home loan. And, you know, I'm thankful for my
It's always been very like genuine. And,
yeah.
You know, which the name actually, you're also a broker owner, right, for another company, which known as Authentic Partners. And I feel like the name really fits just based on how you move. It's kind of funny because of all the businesses and all the people we've met like over the past year, you know, that we've been doing this. It's so interesting how their values tie into like their business, like the name of their business, even, you know, like because it's like their brand, like that's what they want to be known as.
That's their morals.
Known for, and that's just it says a lot, like the name of the business about the kind of person running it, you know, or who formed it.
Yeah, I mean, the example is that Mares Mortgage is named after a woman. Her name is Soledad Maria Mares, and it was my grandma. I mean, so, you know, originally our branch in 1990 was called Master Financial, and it was my dad's first job, and he got close with the broker owner who owned a bunch of branches, and the market was starting to get tough around 1992, and my dad had a really tough experience right before that where his first broker stole $40,000 of all his first checks, like a bunch of his first closings. Wow. He was not paid out on $40,000 of commissions, and this is like 1990 money. Like, I don't know the inflation numbers, but like it's over 120,000, like in buying power. Yeah, he got. So when people, you know, you told me how like there was a situation, you know, where we left the team and there was a deal that, you know, you're supposed to get paid out. I'm like, look, man, like our family's been coached on these things, you know, and like when I tell you, like I hear you, but you have to move forward. When someone cheats you, like if someone doesn't do right by you and doesn't want to pay their bill, I'm telling you right now, the best thing you can do is move forward. Because the longer you trip to pick up these honestly pennies in the grand scheme of things, yeah, I mean, so our company shouldn't even exist for so many reasons, except, you know, our CEO is from Mexico City. His name's Cuberto Senior. We call him Cuberto Senior because his dad's passed a long time ago, and he was raised by a single mom, and he knows who to give credit to. He gives credit to God, and he gives credit to his single mom and stepdad who raised him. So he named the company out. So, you know, Mares Mortgage is like just after her. Now, we're number one on Google in Orange County. Now we're number one on ChatGPT and Grok and Gemini when you search up mortgage broker in Orange County. And we have 1,400 five-star reviews since we started keeping track, you know, because we started keeping track probably like in 2015. Like we didn't even start
Wow,
doing that
only
for a
been
long
10
time.
years.
Yeah, like we didn't even start really keeping track until around that year. And I remember when we were like, oh, let's start getting reviews, and then they were like adding up, like we were like, oh man, people just want to review us if we just send them the link, and sometimes it's just like those, that's like the little like the little downtime things you can do, so.
Which helps so much though, like the little task, the little like what seemingly seems like such a small thing, I know that's what you just said, like, oh, it's the little things, but like think of the difference that it makes. Because I mean, I don't know about you, but as a consumer, right, that's like one of the biggest influences of even making a decision to go with a company or to go to a restaurant or a gym or anything like that. Like it's the reviews. It's always the number on Yelp. It's the number on Google. It's those recommendations. Even the reviews itself.
Yeah, it builds
the ratings.
credibility.
All it takes is like it's like we have an AI. You guys know this, but we have an AI basically agent that answers on our website. And all that's doing is buying seconds of time to make sure that one of our team members can jump in like less than 20 seconds. Like they're jumping in like 30 seconds max. It's like, I mean, honestly, it's the same attitude that someone would take to like the firehouse. Like you get the emergency call, like every second you take, something's happening. You may get there and nothing's wrong. That's fine. That's most of the time. I heard a really cool talk years ago. You guys went with us to listen to Rob Palinka. Remember we got to so
Great talk.
we got to do the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast, and 60-year tradition. It's been going on for a long time, and Rob was amazing.
Yeah.
A few years ago, there was a guy that came, and he was the pilot who was supposed to be on the flight that was supposed to go to LA on 9/11. So he was the pilot that was supposed to be on that plane. And right before he was supposed to go on the plane, a senior pilot bumped him to go home. And so he stayed home. And then that pilot went to, to his eventual historic, he's named in the memorial. I looked for him and he's named in the pilot that bumped him is named in the New York City 9/11 memorial. So when I listened to him talk, he said being a pilot is 97% boredom and 3% terror. And I think that's the thing I try to remind my friends is like most good jobs are that way. But like I told my son on Sundays, I was like, we were in the Lahaina Fires about 3 years ago because we've been going every year, twice a year for a long time, 20 years with my in-laws. And the odds are that you're going to be a part of something historical because you go so much. So we had pretty good odds that this was going to happen while we were there. And we were there in the summer, and the Lahaina Fires happened, and in one day, a whole city burns down. I think over 150 people have died, and they recovered most of the people. So they found most of the people. There's no one missing anymore. But 2.5 years later, it's still not built.
Right.
Being a part of that was interesting, but I have one day of that event. That was 1 day in my life, or 1 minute in my life, really, where I'm trying to barbecue boiling water. And I say that because it's like dumb, right? Because there's no power, there's no cell phones. Everything went down. Cell phone towers were burned down. There's nothing. So your cell phone turns into a black brick. Your awareness without a supercomputer is sad, like for most people. I remember becoming quickly aware that there was people rushing over to the resorts from the fire, and they were like basically, and it's not like because they were bad. They had to overrun the resorts to live like where there's not fire.
Right.
So
it's like survivability, like survival instincts.
Yeah.
Survival instincts. The humans do that really well. And so, we all, I mean, unfortunately, we also don't do it well because we steal toilet paper during COVID, but like,
but it's millions of years of evolution.
Right.
There you go. So we're all sitting there and I say, okay, I need to go to the very first resort to kind of see what's happening. Mm-hmm. So I go to this empty beach that's like the division. It's like the state beach that divides the resorts from like the edge of the city. And it's very small. It's not like a long walk. So I was like, okay, I got to see, because at this point there's like 5 National Guard helicopters. I mean, you don't even know what's happening because there's no news. You don't know what happened because your phone doesn't work. But it's not good because there's no scenario in the world when your phone doesn't work. It's bad. Right. So I walk to the end and I go check it out. And I'm like, oh, like there's a lot of people coming. And I was like, we're going to run out of everything. That's the first thing I realized. It's like, we're going to run out of everything. And then I realized, but I'm not going to want to take from people who need it more than I do because you're normal. I mean, obviously that's how we all think because it's the culture that I was raised from. And so I'm like, okay, so I'm not going to want to look out for myself, but at the same time, I got to get enough so that like my in-laws and my kids and everyone's okay, you know, or whatever. I got. So I go raid it was basically I looked for stuff left out, and it was basically like a snack shop that rents gear, like on the state beach. So I see what I can get without breaking and entering. And the window's open, so I pop in, grab a few 12 packs of soda and waters. And I leave a lot, but my goal was to get enough for like 3 or 4 days because I was like, you know, like that's like all you can. And then at that point, like, don't be greedy, right? You know, so it's like you kind of have like it's I joke, I'm like, that's the gray area, right? Because to me, there's a selfish side that you can have, right? And when your back's against the wall. Anyways, let's get back, show my family, and they're like, what it was like, dude, like you're like this just barely happened. Yeah. Like this was the morning after it all burned down, like the morning after.
Right.
And they're like, dude, like what's up? I'm like, guys, we need to leave. And I don't know how, because we can't get on the phones to book a flight, but we need to leave. And
Lahaina's like in the top part of the island, right? Like compared to
it's on the shore. It's on the shore, but it's in a very dry climate, and it's very far from the airport.
Yeah.
So it's about an hour, 15-minute drive. I said, so I don't know what we're gonna do, but we should probably just load up the car and just go, guys. And people's behavior kicks in, and they start thinking, you start hearing different opinions. And I'm just gonna like be in general. Like this is opinions I heard around the whole resort. Well, what about our stuff? It's so sad. I mean, I'm gonna say that's sad. Because it's like, who cares? It's stuff.
Yeah.
Like I literally tell people, you want to know why like I make it where I am? Because tomorrow, if I don't have anything that I own, I don't care. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I hear people saying basically, what about me? Or who's going to help me? A lot. I heard a lot of that. But I also remembered my Fred Rogers, you know, Mr. Rogers quote, and he says, look, when things go bad, I just reminded myself this is my favorite quote is look for the helpers.
Yeah.
Dude. So I'm like, all right.
That's powerful.
It's powerful. Wow. Look for the helpers. When everything's going bad and you see selfishness and people are rioting and people are doing bad things, look for the helpers on TV. That's what Mr. Rogers' mom used to tell him. That's what he was in an interview a long time ago saying that. His mom would say, look for the helpers. So now then he said it. Now I say it. You guys can say it to your community. So
thank you, Mr. Rogers.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Rogers.
Or Mr. Rogers' mom, actually.
Shout out to the moms. And so we go, and I'm like, man, okay, we got to figure this out. And we go around, and I start seeing people do just like volunteering already. And they're loading up these high-end, those like beautiful catamarans that they take for like resorts.
Oh, yeah.
Like the views. Like one of our friends, Trey Garnes, he's the owner of the Gemini Sailing Tours. He owns the Gemini. And there's only 5 permits on the whole island.
Okay.
So like everyone knows who they are. Gemini is like loading up their car, and they're like just getting supplies out. And they're just like moving stuff, and they're going by sea because the roads are blocked.
Right.
And
it's the only way.
They told me, don't even try to go to the airport because the road is blocked.
Wow.
So there goes that idea of like, hey, let's leave. So then they said you should try the road to Hana, which is, if you want to Google that one, that's good luck, because if you get a pop tire during an emergency, there's no one to help.
You're screwed. Yeah.
So the road to Hana, you can look that up later. For
just my luck too. That would happen to me.
Right.
I had
so
like 8 tires in the past 2.
So let's take a 9-hour drive over the backside of the island through jungle.
Right.
Maui has every climate on Earth on one island. By the way, it's a fun fact. They have the mountains.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
They have mountain snow, jungle, forest, and the desert. They have it all. So we're sitting there, and like I started realizing there's a lot of people doing good. I'm like, all right, feeling good, feeling energized, start helping. I don't ask for anything. I'm just, doing some things, work for a few hours, but then I have to make sure I take care of my own sons, right? I always say, take care of your own people because that'll help everybody. Like if your kids are out there like running amok, like that's not helping any emergency.
Yeah.
So we start helping our kids, and I take Reed out, and we go on the golf course, and we rob a golf cart, a snack cart, because it was abandoned.
Yeah. Like the cart girl, mobile,
Yeah. I can say in my life now, it's off my bucket list, I've robbed one of those.
You should have drove it back.
Well, it was locked up, so this is what's interesting.
Oh, okay.
I actually robbed, and that's why I always like to say something like that sounds bad, and then I'll let you guys, I don't care what people think of me, but Actually, it was an old snack cart that was out of commission, and it was locked up with all the storage. So I had climbed through with my son Reed watching, my younger son. He was about 7. And he still remembers me doing this, and he's like, "What are we doing?" Like, I said, "Reed, we're stealing."
Ooh.
I actually just said it to him. I was like, "Reed, we're stealing." And I said, "But what I'm going to tell you right now is like, this is like not something someone's going to use anyways, and we could even give it out." And we ended up actually like getting a lot of. This is a score when you're in an emergency. We got a lot of beef jerky.
Ooh.
Golfers stock up on the right stuff, right? Nuts, almonds, cashews, chips, like all the stuff that golfers like, bro, that's like emergency preparedness food, man. Like golfers know because they're out there for 5 hours, man. Right? You're out there.
Was there any beer in there? Like, you missed the best part.
Hey, you know what? At the first place that I rated, there was Truly's. I left it out, but just so you know, that was the detail I did. There was Truly's in my little stock. I'm going to tell you, I gave those away because you get dehydrated faster when you drink alcohol.
Exactly.
Emergency, not a good idea. So, but there was a lot of. I'm leaving out a lot of like my mistakes. I mean, I made a critical mistake out of the gates that was almost cost me respect with my wife, because when the fire started, my best friend Casey and I, man, we're all walking and it's really windy, walking to a resort because we're all going to go have a cocktail, and I'm with my kids, and it's safe. You're walking, you're going to have a cocktail, so we're like, let's go to Hyatt. It'd be sweet, because the power was starting to go down all day. The power had been off and on. So we were like getting kind of like antsy because the refrigerators were like, everything's going bad in the refrigerators already. But we're like, they're going to bring it back and like, it'll be fine. Little do we know that like this whole time, because the cell phones were going out, that like the city's starting to burn and no one knows.
Wow.
I made a pretty horrible mistake because I sat there and thought it was more important to go get a cocktail than to like realized that the wind was way stronger than normal wind, because it was actually tornado speeds. That was the problem that day.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was tornado speed. So it was actually like moving my son Reed a little bit. And so we were holding hands. But I was like,
Wow.
It'll die down. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, but why? Because I'm just worried about myself. And so everyone's human.
Yeah.
And you're on vacation, and you're like, it's gonna be fine, it's gonna be back, and you're Latino. We do like just it's it's good. I got dust in my drink. I'm like, look, I was calling it Maui Tahine. I was like, because it was so bad. I was like, I got that nice Maui Tahine on my cocktail. So
I mean, I don't think anybody goes like unless something is actually happening. Like you're never gonna be like, oh shit, like something is going on. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And the Hyatt was the last place taking credit card. They were the only one left. They're serving cocktails while the world is ending, and they don't even know it.
What a business
I
model.
know, right?
It was like, honestly, the moment, when you think about it, it's like it's the band on the Titanic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were playing the violin.
Oh, true.
So that's why I felt like I was having my critical error, because the rest of the emergency, I was like, when you start the game out like down 21 points with football, you better have a perfect game, bro. So the reason why I'm telling you like that the next morning I was out and and I was locked in is because I had already taken such a big L out of the gates. My wife actually walked back by herself because she's like, this isn't safe. And she and she was smart enough with her motherly mom instincts, thank God for the moms.
She felt something.
She was like, I feel something. Like, this isn't safe because there's like shingles getting ripped off the roof. She was noticing it. And we were all chatting, and like I was like, yeah, but like that happens. I'm like, no, it doesn't. It never does that happen. Like, ocean's full of like, there's like chairs in this ocean. It was a lot. It was a lot. So mom's going back and she's handling it, and to this day, it's like that's the respect that I have when you're on a team, because you're like, look, like you never know when you're going to be the one with the answers. And so when you're going in to choose an industry, is like you have to remember that you said something about being prepared. And the whole reason why I wanted to share with you that story about Maui is because, one, I want people to continue to be aware that, fires happen, climate change is a real thing, and we have to all do our part. And to this day, we do a lot at Mara's Foundation. We continue to do 2 beach cleanups per day every day, 2,400 volunteers internationally, thanks to our, CEO's project. And now we're taking that to job creation, educating our youth on ocean conservation, now educating our youth on the mortgage industry. And so you have to remember that the world right now is changing quick, and we're tough. Like, humans are tough. there's the leadership is there. You know, like people are making good decisions and they're learning how to adapt.
Yeah.
But you have to be aware that the difference between hot water and boiling water is 1 degree. So the last piece of the Maui story is that the only part of that story I normally tell is that I tried to barbecue water in a pot, and I was getting this high-end barbecue up to 1,000 degrees, and after 45 minutes the water was not boiling. A pot of water.
Yeah.
Inside, shut.
Even at 1,000 degrees.
The gas ranges were working because luckily they had a huge propane tank on site. It was because they're condos, so we got the one resource that was working. So we're trying to boil it. My wife says you're gonna have to boil a lot less water than that because it's not a stove. And when she said that, I was like, damn, like what a simple, succinct, intelligent comment. Because what she's basically saying is, hey, pendejo, you ever see like the little tiny blue flame that directly points to the bottom of the pot?
Yeah.
That's all you need. And it'll boil in 5 minutes. It's not even that much gas.
Yeah.
Yet I'm running a huge burner throwing all the propane. I'm turning up all the burners and I'm running it for 45 minutes and I don't even have boiling water because boiling is 1 degree of difference in temperature. 1 degree. And you're just either hot or you're boiling. And that's the difference when I tell you guys, that's the difference between people who have hot teams. They do all the podcasts. They do all the social media. They're hot. They're hot, dude. They're hot. Are they boiling? They're not. We look up their stats all the time. Our favorite thing to do when we're feeling bad about ourselves is what? We look up other people's stats, all the influencers, right? No, it's true. Like when we're like, hey, like I feel bad about, I only closed 4 loans this month. And then you look and you're like, look, remember, no one's gets a shortcut in real industries. Like there's no shortcuts when you do real jobs. So
the significance of 1 degree too is so crazy. So kind of going back to the pilot that you mentioned, right? That you heard speak. I even heard an analogy one time. I think it was from Atomic Habits, the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you've ever read it, it's a great book. It talks about the 1% difference, or in this case, the 1 degree difference.
That's right.
He was saying that in an airplane, if you take off from LAX and you headed towards New York City, if you're 1 degree shifted, like east or south or something like that, you're actually going to end up in Washington, D.C. and not New York City from LAX, just by 1 degree, right? So kind of like you mentioned with kind of like in a real profession, like mistakes can't happen. You know, like you need to be perfect in a way that like you know exactly like what to do. You're an expert in your field.
Oh, you do.
But even just the tiny shift of habits, I actually wanted to transition a little bit into habits. What kind of habits do you have to, you know, continue to prepare? Like, I mean, you're balancing so many things in life, right? Your family, your work, the Maris Foundation, Authentic Partners, your lending, Twiz, two-level home. You know, like you have
a lot going on.
You have so many projects in your life, but more importantly, you're a father. You know what I mean? Like what kind of habits do you portray and, you know, really, what's the word? What do you like express, you know, so that you can equally be, you know, show up at a high level in each of those forms?
I feel like I just want to be like Tristan. Best listener I've ever heard.
Be like me?
I honestly, no, I'm saying that because I have to learn to listen to the CEOs. The best thing you could do is if you go into an organization, figure out the source in that company. Like, who's the source, right? Like, you know, if you watch The Matrix, one of the best movies ever.
Hell yeah.
Big movie guy. You got to get to the source. You got to know the source code. Every company has a source code. If you go to Authentic Partners, you have to know that it's servant leadership. The reason why we've grown asset management so quickly is because every single person takes ownership, but everyone's listening to each other. And most of the time, I joke that I learn more, honestly, from you guys than I feel like I'm even offering. Now, I know that's reciprocal because that's how it works. But that's how everything should be, because there's a good example where people say, if your life is like Pinocchio, where you're being held up by strings, those strings are cotton. They're made of cotton. So what we don't realize is that Pinocchio is actually being held up by fabric. Okay. But the fabric is only a strand for his hand, a strand for his elbow, maybe one for the back of his neck, one for his head, you know, one for the body, one for the head, and then the other arm, and then the knee, right? It's like we've all played. I mean, I was.
And then there's someone holding it.
There's someone holding it.
Yeah.
And someone's playing those strings. What you have to try to get to is finding organizations where you make that relationship more like fabric, where we're woven together and we're holding hands. Like I'm gonna hold your hand. I'm gonna hold your hand like this, and we're like woven like that, and we're together as equals. Mm-hmm. Because when someone says, "Well, I'm following you," or "He's my lead," or "He's this," if you notice, one of the big things that I emphasize with you guys is I call you guys partners. Now, sometimes when I'm having a private conversation, I'll say, okay, I'll make sure that my employee understands, or, to that degree, just because it's a semantics to cover each other's butts. Right. Hey, I got you. Yeah, we'll make sure it's handled. But in a term of respect and endearment is that we're all partners and we're all equals here. So we want to make sure that that's a reminder every day. And it's not something that we just say. It's something that we're doing. Mm-hmm. And so at the level that I'm at right now, the only way that I can make my day perfect is I do 3 things. I'm going to give you guys all 3. Every Sunday, I write down my must-do list. I have it right here in front of me right now. I'm looking at it. I'll hold it up for this video. You guys watch the Instagram. So, yellow notepad, Amazon Basics. It's my favorite purchase. I can't get away from Amazon. But I make my must-do list. And I make the must-do list, meaning I just write things down as I'm sipping coffee, and I make my list of things. And the reason why I make a list is because you don't want to be the person who forgets that life is just all about, there's a very, very good book called Carry Wood and Chop Water. Chop Water, Carry Wood. Very simple. It's in the Kobe Bryant list of books to read. And my sons have all read it, or both of my sons have read it. We've all read it in our family. And every day, the reason why the Japanese samurai are so successful is because they understand that they respect learning how to chop wood correctly and carry the water every day. And they lived in very, very old-fashioned communities. Yeah. They would carry the water without spilling one drop.
Wow.
They would chop the wood without leaving a mess, and clean cuts. Yeah. And preserving the whole tree. The book, it goes into much better detail, but what I think I remind people every day is, if you can write down what you're going to do during the week on your day off, what doesn't matter if it's Sunday. My day off isn't even Sunday. I start making my list usually 6 a.m. on Sundays when I wake up, around there, because I'll just write something down.
Yeah, you're a dad. You never have a day off.
No, you never have a day off. No. And therefore, someone, 3 problems, we put out 3 fires on Friday, and so my list changes, right? Because I'm helping everyone else do their stuff, and it's fine. It's part of, it's a servant leadership. But the only request that I have to everyone who wants to get better every day is you have to write down somewhere. I mean, one of our partners, Kim, she has a really cool notepad. Eventually, I want to get that pencil, the digital pencil. That's pretty cool.
Oh, like her Apple iPad and Apple Pencil. Yeah.
And so you're like, okay, well, whatever you want to do it on. But as dumb as my penmanship looks, and as bad as the paper looks, and it's ratted and it's tattered, it's still so productive to touch paper, to have
just to feel the pen and actually write it out.
Yeah, and see it when you walk by.
And it translates.
Yeah, and see it when you walk by in the house. I feel that. Because then I'll be sleeping, and I'll forget something. Mm-hmm. And you know what I do? I get out of bed. Because people say, oh, if you get out of bed, I mean, you're already in bed. I'm like, whoever said that was a rule? Once you're in bed, you're not out of bed? I mean, tell my wife that, please, because I always have to get out of bed. She's like, turn the light off. Oh, I forgot the front porch light. It's all like, oh my God.
Every man can relate to that.
I'm like, my God.
Give me some water.
Literally, I was up for 18 hours today. You had a lot of opportunities to ask for that. So anyway, but the point is you can go downstairs or whatever, go to the room, write down what is on your mind, or if you have a notepad, like a sticky pad next to your bed, write it down, and then put on your list. But if you go in without a plan, you're going to be off by 1 degree. Mm-hmm. And most people are, sadly in America, most people are off by 125 degrees. They're they're shooting blanks.
Yeah.
Literally. So pilots shout out to pilots because they don't even you got to say thank you every time you get on and off a plane.
100%.
It's so silly. It's like, you guys, they just
took
you from A to B in at 700 miles an hour, and they never lose like they never lose. Like
Yeah.
you always
Yep.
land.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I think like we forget is like, if you did your day as consistent as a pilot, I mean, trust me, they do probably more than 700 part check before every flight, by the way. One of my close clients, love the guy, Brian Ferguson, does this every day. And he tells me, he did it every day, he just retired, but he's like, it's a 700, maybe 1,200 step. Every pilot has to walk the plane. If you ever go early, you can see the pilot walking the whole plane down below. And he looks at the whole thing. That's required by the FAA. And they catch stuff every time. He's like, every time I catch something.
Yeah.
Every single time they catch something. It's not even like a question. Every time. Why? The plane is flying very quickly. It's taking a lot of heat. But what we forget is that my best friend, Matt Reynolds, told me that airplanes get stronger. He's an engineer. Airplanes get stronger the more they've flown because they're made of natural materials and mostly steel. Steel actually will become more closely formed to the other panels, and they form together stronger the more time it flies.
Interesting.
Over the heat, the wind.
The wind. It's
almost
mostly
like
the wind
erosion,
resistance.
like
It's like erosion. Yeah, like they fuse almost. Like they push and they like literally form. The imperfections go away and you get stronger and stronger. And so that's why whenever you have the privilege to meet someone special in life, like you meet someone who is amazing, and you're like, you look at them and you think, man, you're perfect. Like you think that, right? And no one's perfect, but you think they're perfect. That's a lot of pressure. You know, they're like diamonds, right? They're taking pressure every day. That's how you form diamonds.
Yeah.
Everything needs pressure. We're organisms born into gravity. Like we need the pressure to just live.
Yeah.
So, you know, you guys are on it. I mean, you guys are doing a great podcast, and you guys are, you know, I'm thankful that you guys let me give you guys a few stories. And
So you have the list, right? That's number one. That's like your
That's
habit number one.
yeah, and then you have the must-dos. You have the must-do items every day, and you get the things done. And then when you look through that at the end of the day, what's going to equal income for me today? And that's something that we miss out a lot on. And I tell that to you, Tristan, because you're a creative, and I'm a creative too, by the way, guys. This did not come naturally to me, which is why I really enjoy helping people with this. You're a creative guy, and the thing that you got better at, and it directly equaled more income, was that you started looking at your list, and now the thing that will make money for you today, you do it.
Yeah.
Or the thing that will equal a client winning equals money. So you could even put it like in a healthier way and say, on this list, this is the person that wants to win today. You guys just placed a tenant on one place, and it created a listing for another realtor. You don't necessarily benefit from that. But in the way that an economy works, it's circular. It's going to come back to us.
Right.
Because we're an asset management company. Like if we can get that tenant moved out so they can sell that house, in some way you will win. I promise you. And that's how we build an ecosystem. But you cannot win if you don't get your must-do items done every day. Then you go down the list and you work on, I have it right here on my list. I'm going to work on my avocado tree.
Nice.
I hired the avocado doctor from San Diego to come check him out.
Nice.
He's sick. And he gave me a huge text message analysis of what I need to work on.
Interesting.
And it's on my list.
Wow.
Like a botanist?
Yeah.
I'm going to teach you how to have a green thumb.
Yeah, man. No, he called me out, man. I felt like I was an abusive parent, man. I was like, dude, oh, man, this avocado tree's sad. So, yeah, I mean, that's on my list. Lunch with Isaac and Tristan's up there. I got to order a new credit card I lost, you know? I'm forgetful sometimes.
Yeah.
I already added reading Atomic Habits again. And I added Kaizen. Probably someone out here just read it. It's supposed to be a great book about habits as well.
So having your list really is it's almost like a progress sheet, you know, but it's a high priority list because you have it categorized in a way where it's not only just my hobbies and what's going to help like my family, right, with the avocado tree, but what's going to make me income today.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really just organizing your life. Like other people use different things, right? Like a calendar, kind of.
I have a calendar, by the way.
Yeah.
No, I do.
Your calendar is built on your list.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's built on your list, and it's built.
Your list
based
is
on-
not your calendar. That's a good point. Your list is not your calendar. That's two different things. Yeah. The calendar, so what I use the list for is like, for example, everything that we do in our industry is very much so like kind of like project based. So if you did the small action that gets it to like step 2, We don't know if there's 100. Like, Isaac, you just went through alone. I think you told us you had 58 conditions.
Yeah.
You didn't know it was going to be 58 steps to get to that finish line.
Yeah, it was just disclosing it. And
Average loan has 24 conditions, by the way. So he worked on 2.5 loans, and you don't get paid more.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
good time.
No, it's a good time. But the thing is like, so to get to step 2, you don't know in this industry how many steps there will be. I guarantee you, though, if you're lethal, if you're very good and you're very intentional, there's usually less. That's the stats. That's the odds. Because then what happened afterwards, Isaac, you had a deal where we had like 5 conditions.
Yeah.
And then you did it.
Wow.
And then out of that, you did your first self-generated. So
Boom.
he went 58 conditions down to less than 15 conditions, down to a self-generated deal that's clean. And he turned it in today as we're recording this.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally like the definition of like crawl, walk slowly.
I was like army
and then run.
crawling
Yeah.
through the
Sick.
barbed wire.
That's awesome, dude.
That's
I didn't even know that.
I mean, and it's never like that. Like, that's not like a plan. I can't sit here and be like, oh, that was my plan for you, Isaac. Like, aren't I smart? It's like, no, like, that's just God's
Pinocchio.
Geppetto. Is that his name? The guy that holds his
His master.
Master
But yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with that, man. And sometimes, like you said, you didn't always know that, but it's always like the silent battles of just progress, of just growing, and just all of that makes it to what it is. And like you said, it's really a part of God's plan. And I mean, the amount of things that had to happen for us to sit in this room today, and what day is it? October 6th. Like, it's incredible. It's honestly out of the box of
it's a privilege, man. I mean, like, we're living, like, I tell people that I said this one time when I was a kid, and I'll never forget when I said it. I was 16 and a half, and I had just played for the U.S. national team. I had already finished like my first little travel tour. So now I get to go to my last JOs in high school as like somebody. Because JOs is Junior Olympics, but everyone is it's all the clubs. But when you're a national team player, you get to go to that tournament, and Junior Olympics, you're not a Junior Olympics. You're one of the like guys on the Olympic team. Like, you're one of the Olympians.
right.
And it feels different when you're there. So I remember I'm like, it felt good. You want to know why? I wasn't that good at water polo. I tell people all the time, like, look, don't count out kids. I believe in transformational coaching. I do not believe in yelling at people. I do not believe in making people feel horrible. I do it sometimes on accident.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize. I'm not Bobby Knight. I'm not going to throw chairs. Or like Christian's teammate.
Yeah.
Christian's teammate, literally, his name's God's gift, Dior Lohorn, told us the best story that Bobby Knight once came into the locker room after a horrible half. He's nowhere to be seen. 5 minutes into like a dead silent locker room, comes in. Dior was a transfer, so he had played for Bobby for 1 year. Then he transferred to USF with Christian. Tells him he comes in, and he has his hand behind his back. He goes to the star player, and he has toilet paper, and there's actual shit on it. And he puts it in the guy's face. He says, "This is what your game is right now." Holds it like an inch to his nose.
Wow.
Oh my God.
It's just unnecessary. Is it funny? It's hilarious,
Yeah.
but not cool.
But like a coach doing that? That's
Bobby Knight was known So it's like, I don't believe in that type of coaching. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it makes people better. I think there's so many other ways that you can be effective as a human being, and as a person who just wants to like do good and just leave like an impact.
Do you have like a favorite coach, like whether it's like either in your own personal life or like even in a professional setting, right? Like Bill Belichick and all these other.
Right now, I got to say my favorite coach is Coach Cliff because he's helping my kids. Cliff is awesome. No, Coach Cliff is awesome. He's always giving these talks to the kids, and I try to show up to the practices so I can hear them.
They're secretly for me, but
oh man, they're so good. He's because the way you talk to a kid is the same way you could talk to an adult. Doesn't have to be different. We all have like the child at heart if we're in things for the right reasons, and if you're not surrounding yourself with people who have an inner child, a strong inner child, and a openness and a wide-eyed openness to be happy in life, like, you need to try to move on in life. I mean, if the privileges that you have right now don't allow for that, grind, but know that like, you're worth it, and that you should try to find a place where you're valued more. And I know that that's hard in the United States because a lot of us, I say, you're not cleaning toilets. You know, I come from, my family's from the Latino community. In our family, we're like 1 or 2 generations removed from people who, landscapers, people who clean toilets in hotels. Like, I don't care if you're telling me at my mortgage that you worked hard today. I didn't see you fishing condoms out of a toilet today. Like, there are women and men who do that every day of their lives, and they're joyful.
Right.
You see them in the hallways of the hotel, and you're like, they're happy people.
They're singing and
They're singing, bro. They're
Yeah.
like literally like every kitchen is Latino in Southern California. You go in the back, and they're
most
having
of the
fun.
world, honestly. Like, or at
Most of
least
the
world.
America. Most of
Yeah,
the-
America. Yeah.
At least where the good food is.
Yeah.
So transformational coaching and making sure that you understand that oftentimes the players that you count out break through, and the players that you had originally bet on wash out. Don't place early bets. It's dumb.
Yeah.
When I played water polo, there was a lot of childhood stars, and no one remembers them. And it's not to diss them, but it's a lot to be a star when you're a kid. And then now, what are you going to do when you're not getting the glory anymore in high school, when everyone hits puberty?
Yeah.
You got to get through that. It's like a recession. So are you going to get through that, or are you going to like just be like, oh no, I'm out. I'm going to change my industry. It's an analogy, but it's real. And I remember being at my last JOs, and to bring it back, and I told this guy, his name was Tyler Drake, and the guy played for Stanford after this. Some of my best friends, the nicest guys, played for Stanford. I didn't have the grades to get in, so I that's why my kids work on their grades now. That's my pass on to them. I go, look, guys, I got recruited by Stanford, didn't get in. And they were giving me the golden ticket. Like, I just had to hit a minimum. So here's the deal. I tell people. I told Tyler Drake. He said, "How's your day, Cubie?" I'm like, I don't know. Maybe he saw a smile on my face, and I said, look, guys, all I got to tell you is that I feel like I'm living the dream. And I was 17 and a half, but I hadn't even lived yet.
Yeah.
I hadn't done anything with my life yet. I was just doing privileged sports, like parents paying for everything. You know, all the meals are provided. I think I'm grinding. I think I'm working so hard. I don't even do anything yet. I think I'm doing so much. That's the hard part is like, that's why you don't count out the mindset of a kid who just does the things every day that they're supposed to do. Like the kid who's just doing things every day like Tristan does. That's how you run 4-minute miles, bro. You want to be a college track and field runner? That's what it takes. You want to pump
That's
iron
true.
like Isaac? You got to go to the gym. Like your body weight to lift ratio is nuts. It's sick. You don't need to tell a stat, you know, like, I always say gentlemen never share their grades. That's what I tell my boys. You know, I say gentlemen never share their grades, and you never tell people how much money you make. But yet so many people on Instagram are encouraging us to talk about what? How much money do I make?
Yeah.
People on Strava. What did I just do? I don't care what you just did. I just want to know if you're happy when you run.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Are you generally happy when you run? Because you sound like you're not, because you're just worried about your stats. Stats are for losers. That's a Mike Krzyzewski quote.
Interesting.
Stats are for losers. Says the winningest coach next to the nicest coach of all time, who is the winningest. He's the second most winningest, but John Wooden. And John Wooden was the nicest guy you could ever meet. He's reading poetry to motivate his players.
Wow.
He's helping them put their socks on. It was the first thing they have to learn. How to put their socks on, and he would show them. And they would double sock back then because the socks were not good technology, and he knew it. And he would show them how to do the socks. Really, they take all this time, and like, there's famous stories about guys that went to the NBA. Keem Olajuwon said at the time he was Lou Alcindor. That's Lou Alcindor was his name at the time because he's Muslim. But Lou Alcindor says to his coach, like he said, he said I wasn't going to say anything to the coach because I was respectful. He was raised right, strict.
Yeah.
He's like, but I was thinking, like, why are we like this guy like talking about putting shoes on? Why? Because he's a winner. And if your shoes are off by 1 degree, you're probably not going to make the bucket that day.
You're going to tear your Achilles.
And Tristan, you always talked about how you worked in the shoe game.
Yeah.
And you know how to fit people for the right shoes. Shaquille O'Neal said, if the feet go, the knees will go. The knee will go. If the feet go, if your feet get injured, your ankles will go, your knees will go. You'll get a knee injury. Like,
No, yeah. That's what I used to always preach when I'd be fitting people. Like, you can go ahead and go to Big Five and get a $50 pair of shoes, but is the guy working it over there at the cash register actually like looking at you walk and making sure we're pulling these shoes out with intention based off the analysis that we just looked at, personalized to you? That's what people don't really think.
right.
Going into
They
retail.
don't understand. People don't get it. And so you have to think about that every day of your life. It's not analysis by paralysis. It's just writing down something before you work and getting it prepared. preparation. And there's so many great quotes on it, but who cares what the quotes are? Just do it.
Right.
Like everyone has spoken about preparation in a million ways. I was required to do Boy Scouts to get my driver's license as a kid. That's how my parents were like throwing down the rules of my house. So I got Eagle Scout before I was 15 because I wanted to drive a car so bad. And that was the rule in my house. When I was in Boy Scouts, people would go all the way to Life Scout. You ever talk to someone who did Boy Scouts, ask them what they made it to? Tons of people make it to Life. It's the last rank before Eagle. You're 1 degree off.
Wow.
But guess what? The nerd I graduated with, Greg Weiler, who I played water polo with also, by the way, he only played because he was like kind of like a loose buddy. Like he was like a buddy who was like kind of following you around. You're like, dude, this guy's like annoying. Like he won't leave me alone. Plays water polo. My mom went up to me one day. She's like, hey, your childhood friend. We don't have any. This is a great. We don't have any stats on. We don't have any highlight videos of him. Like he has no highlights. And she was making the highlight video. She's like, your boy. And I'm like, he's kind of my boy. Like he's he's academic, right? And he's playing water polo. And we've been Eagle Scouts. I'm like, all right. So Greg Weiler, I throw him the ball, and I was like, Greg, here, like you can throw it right. I'm like, Greg, throw it better, like in the game. I'm literally like asking him to like just like show off his arm, like just make it look good. My mom's getting video right now. I didn't say anything, but I was like, it's like, oh, okay, he caught on. So I was giving him all this love. He's like, that was my favorite game of all time. That's what he told me.
Oh, no way.
Wow.
Because he felt acknowledged.
Yeah.
And guess what? Now, dude works for George Lucas and has invited me to go see the Mandalorian set.
What?
And I don't even take him up on it. Because I feel
Wow.
like I didn't even earn it. I'm like, dude, I was just being nice. I didn't do that because you were going to offer this to me 20 years later. But what people forget, like my friend Christina Chella said, she says, being selfless is okay later on. It can be selfish. If you're selfless, you can eventually get something out of it. But are you doing it because you're expecting something in return? Then that doesn't work. And if you don't know what you signed up for, that's your bad.
100%.
Like, if you don't understand that going into a casino means you can lose all your money, then you're dumb. That's your bad for not understanding the rules of engagement.
True.
No, 100%. That's a pretty deep principle too. I mean, it even goes back to the Bible, like with Jesus and everything. Like he gave to give, and he never expected anything in return other than to live your life not as a sinner. You know what I mean? Like nobody.
Yeah, he managed to keep. That was the meme that was going around. It's like he had the biggest accomplishment. Said like, how did Jesus actually keep 12 close friends in his 30s? That was what they actually joked. That was like his real accomplishment. They're like, who has 12 close friends in their 30s? Like that's really you guys are about to hit your 30s, but you'll see what I mean by that. It's not easy to do, but that's a leader who can have 12 close friends as in their 30s. But anyway, so no, thank you guys. I mean, I think I'm just appreciative that you guys wanted to listen and. Yeah, I hope we have some more fun.
Let's do one last thing for people watching because our whole motion and mission on the podcast is to inspire our generation, Gen Z, millennials out there, looking to take a step out of fear, into uncomfort, so that they can follow their dreams. What's one piece of advice that we could give to someone watching that's a Gen Z millennial person that is having trouble even attempting to make that step towards their dream?
I know what you mean. Oh man, that's tough.
I know it's a lofty question.
It's hard. No, it's hard. I think you have to remind yourself that you're worth it every day. And I preach a lot about mental health. We actually don't preach it. I mean, I try to live by a principle of monitoring my own mental health, the mental health of my team. You have to know thyself. Like you got to know who you are. And when you're young, don't think that you have to get into something because it's making you happy. The best thing that I think happened in 2007 to go full circle was that I couldn't choose because there was nothing to do. I didn't get good grades in college. I had all these statistics. I had all these great stats in college. I have a Wikipedia page for the Final Four. Great. I didn't have the grades to get onto the sales team at Facebook. I would have been a lot smarter if I had. I mean, dang. Imagine joining Facebook in 2007 on the sales team. Make some real money there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I didn't have the grades to join Google, which was also still not even like what they are today, or Apple. My wife had 4 interviews with Apple, and we almost lived in the Bay Area. People don't even know that about us. And she didn't get the 4th interview. They accidentally just hired from within, and they were like, wait, oh, we were interviewing someone. She was in her 3rd interview. They didn't communicate. So she didn't get a job that she really wanted with Apple.
Damn.
I wouldn't have even been working if my wife was like an exec, like at the she was moving as a CPA in accounting. She would have been like in a controller type status.
Like a
company
CFO
that's
almost.
About to be,
Wow.
yeah, in that category. And in divisions, right? They have so many divisions. So you right now, the hardest thing is you have to look at all the commodities in the U.S. and you have to kind of do some research on what you can sell. And I say this because when you're looking at a job, and I think most of your audience is entrepreneurs, that's a 24/7 thing. And when people say, "Oh man, how are you running all these companies?" And I was like, "Look, you know what my favorite company is? The one that like makes sure that like the one that where everyone's eating. That's my favorite company. Mara's Mortgage is the least sexy of all of our companies. It's named after my grandma. It's like wet blanket. I got my shirt.
Let's see it.
Homes and Loans. This is a new swag.
That's right, baby. The mic.
First five
Here.
people.
Here,
First five
show it
people,
again. Show it again.
First five people to
Yeah, there we go.
First five people to mention the T-shirt. We'll mail you one.
Yeah, you heard him.
We'll mail you one. The thing that I want you guys to know is that it doesn't matter how many people are listening to you, because all you need is one. If you are doing this podcast and it's for one person, it makes a difference. It's the old story of the little girl on the seashore. And she keeps throwing the starfishes back in the sea. And then the guy walks by, the man, of course, and he says, "What are you doing? You're wasting your time. There's thousands of sea stars just washed up on shore. They're all going to die." And she's like, "Well, that made a difference for that one." And she just keeps doing it. If you do life that way and you just focus on reaching one person at a time, you may be only doing that right now. Like you, Tristan, got a bunch of haters. I love like that statement that your leader said. He said, "I love the haters because they boost my algorithm.
They bring you business.
They bring you business." That's what he said. They bring
Actually,
me business.
Daniel G, he's a sales coach. I watched one piece of content and that's what it was. He's like, you know what? I don't pay any of my haters to do anything. I don't even pay them a referral fee. But you know what? That's where I get my business is from the haters. And now I have raging fans.
Because the more comments you get, people are going to watch it.
Like, don't block them. I want them to keep going.
Exactly. And that's the difference is like that's your growth right now. Because I see you growing every day, and how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to really pour in as many nuggets as possible, because this is your guys' forum. And the next time we all communicate again together, we can do it again, and it's going to be like a book with chapters. Mm-hmm. And we kind of touched on all these things. What we can do in the future, and this is me trying to get myself invited on, because I'm like the dad trying to go hang out with the kids. You know what I'm saying? Like I do this to my sons all the time. You guys are about to get hit with it. They're like, "Dad, are you trying to hang out with us right now?" I was like, I mean, kind of. You guys can take away, and I'll crash for 10 minutes, and I'll break down some of these things in more detail. But you guys are doing you guys are exactly where you're supposed to be.
Amen.
That's it. You're not ahead, you're not behind. Jay Shetty, you're not ahead, you're not behind. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. He asks people to repeat that every day of their life. He's an amazing guy.
Yeah, I love his content.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have him on the podcast.
Yeah.
One day.
But no, thank you to the West Coast Property Bros. I mean, you guys are doing work that most people your age don't want to do. You guys are putting in time on things, and you guys are experiencing things that eventually everyone will have to do. Everyone eventually will have to do the difficult things you're doing. And the longer you wait, the harder your life will be. It's a fact.
Amen. Well, Cubie, we appreciate
thank you for coming on. Yeah.
It was very deep. It was very impactful in terms of all the nuggets that you shared. And it's kind of funny because my mom, one time she asked me, she was like, "Hey, so you're recording all these videos and podcasts and everything. Like, what's the point? Right? Like, why? And exactly like you shared, like, as long as it speaks to one person, like, that's really the end goal.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, I do want to kind of like on some Think and Grow Rich principles where he interviewed, I don't know how many thousands of people over the course of like that time period. And then he put all those principles into one thing, right? I mean, eventually I feel like that's something Tristan and I can work together on, is like all these principles, especially in the new era, the new wave of technology with AI, with the new kind of growth. They say the greatest wealth transfer in the history of the world is going to happen here in the near future. It's already happening, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And, what's our part in that? I feel like the big question for like you and I and for us. So
that'd be kind of cool.
But Cubie, we appreciate you very much. If Tristan, you want to give us some final closing words, and
Yeah. So all you guys out there, we appreciate you watching this episode with our one and only mentor, coach, and also business partner, Cubie Hernandez. Thank you for coming on the show.
Hope you guys,
Enjoyed watching Straight to the Point, and we are your co-hosts, West Coast Property Bros. We'll catch you on the next episode. Let's get it.